David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army, retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the Correctional Facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard, combined service 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work.
For my family. For the public.
For the community.
My family.
For the outdoors.
/ 19th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez,
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard, combined service 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Martin Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard, combined service 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, State of New Mexico Army National Guard.
Melinda Medlin, United States Army.
Norman Aragod, U.S. Army National Guard.
Raven Nieto, United States Army.
Oscar Mark Lopez, United States Marine Corps.
Martin, United States Army retired.
Valentino Baca, United States Marine Corps.
Jeff Folgate, United States Air Force.
Kenneth Quintana, United States Army, and as well as New Mexico National Guard. Combined service, 24 years.
Santa Fe County is hiring. Every Tuesday, Public Works holds a rapid hire event at 102 Grant Avenue at 8:30 a.m. Also, the correctional facility holds a rapid hire event every Tuesday at 9 a.m. That is at 28 Camino Justicia. We have great jobs, great pay, and great benefits. Come work with us.
Why do you work for Santa Fe County?
For my family.
For your safety. For you.
For my community.
For the public.
For the community.
For the retirement.
To serve my community.
For my family.
For the outdoors.
David Crispin with the United States Marine Corps.
Jacqueline Beam, 519th Military Intelligence, U.S. Army.
Matthew Hernandez, United States Navy.
Keith Claxton, United States Navy.
Paul Portillo, United States Navy.
Robert Griego, U.S. Navy, Operations Specialist.
Chris Oakley, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps.
A Planning Commission to order for March 21st, 2024. Can we have roll call, Debbie? Here.
Here.
Mr. Chair, just for clarity, Eric Abo is online.
Yeah, and I can't hear I couldn't hear Debbie.
I didn't hear that, John. Oh, Eric's, okay. Thank you.
Here.
Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance. John, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, there is one item, and that is item E, Pernama 235050. The reasoning for this is because the applicants were concerned on square footage that was incorporated on the draft final order. That has since been removed. They were restricting them to, the draft was restricting them to 5,726 square feet, and that was not part of the application as originally submitted. So that section had been removed from the final order, so therefore another order was uploaded.
Okay. What about the other, can we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
A motion to approve the agenda as amended.
All second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of February 15th? Any changes to the minutes?
No, motion to approve the minutes of February 15th, 2024.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Now we go to the consent agenda. Can we, John, can we approve the items on the consent agenda all at once, or do we have to do individually?
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, you can do that all at once.
Okay, Wendy?
Yep. Yeah, I'll motion to approve the 6 cases on the consent agenda. Or 5 cases on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Chair, there is 6 items on the agenda.
Oh, there is 6? With the one.
I'll move to approve the 6th one.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you. I don't see Eric, but he's there.
Oh, I thought we
He's
removed
behind
one.
us somewhere. He's online, okay.
Thought we removed one.
Now we go to the new business, which is case number 235200, Todd and Susan Handy. Maggie Valdez.
Sorry about that. Good afternoon, late noon, Chair, Planning Commission. My name is Maggie Valdez. I'm a Develop Review Specialist Senior. Today I bring before you case number 235200, Todd and Susan Handy. Applicants request variance of Table 7A to allow an existing accessory structure to encroach onto the required setback. The property is within the residential estate zoning district. Table 7A illustrates that the setback in RES-E is 25 feet from the sides and the rear of the parcel and 10 feet from the front of the parcel. The site is located at 3 Conchas Court within Township 15 North, Range 10 East, Section 8, Commission District 5. History. The applicant stated construction of a 400 square foot accessory structure on or around June of 2023 without obtaining a development permit. On June 15, 2023, a Santa Fe County Code Enforcement Inspector issued a notice of violation. The structure does not meet setback requirements outlined in the Sustainable Land Development Code. Summary. The applicants are requesting a variance of Table 7A to allow a 20-foot by 20-foot, 400 square foot existing accessory structure to encroach on the required 25-foot setback. The property lies within the residential estate zoning district, within the El Dorado subdivision. The site plan illustrates that the accessory structure is encroaching slightly onto a 10-foot utility easement, which was created within the recorded plat. The applicant state, I have requested a variance and setback approval that would make reasonable use of the land for the location and screening with existing mature trees of the large accessory structure. The location of the easement and setbacks are on flat land and are ideal for a large accessory structure built 15 feet from the home. The large accessory structure does not block any mountain views or interfere with the nature of vegetation. If the utility easement and the setback variance for the large accessory structures are not approved and we had to tear down, it would create a financial timeless of completing the building of the large accessory structure hardship, not only to Todd and I, Susan Handy, but also to the contractor. We do not want to tear down the large accessory structure or severely trim back our mature trees to rebuild a large accessory structure. Additionally, these trees will act to screen the structure. Secondly, there is a need to provide access to read the utility meters, which are in the area between the home and the large accessory structure. The septic tank and leach field are on the south side of our home. The backyard fence is on the east side. The west side is the front of our home. The distance between the front of the home and the street is too short to place a large accessory structure. Table 7A illustrates that the setbacks are 10 feet from the front property boundary and 20 feet from the sides and rear of the property boundary within the RES-E zoning district. The accessory structure encroaches onto the required 25-foot setback of the property. In response to section 4.9.74, the applicant has addressed the variance criteria and staff has responded to the applicant's comments. Building and development. Services staff reviewed the variance application for compliance with the pertinent SLDC requirements and found that the facts presented do not support the request for variance to allow the accessory structure to encroach into the required setbacks. Specifically, staff found that there are other buildable areas on the property. The structure has constructed without permits. If the applicant would have consulted with staff prior to building the structure, staff would have advised the applicants of the setback requirements, thus avoiding this situation entirely. Hearing officer recommendations. On December 14, 2023, this request was presented to Sustainable Land Development Hearing Officer. The hearing officer memorized findings of fact and conclusion of all in a recommended order on this project. The hearing officer, based on the evidence presented, recommends the application be denied. Mr. Chair and Commission, may I enter the conditions into the record?
Yes, you may.
The report and exhibits listed below are hereby submitted as part of the hearing record. Mr. Chair and Commission, I stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Yeah, I had one. Oh,
Wendy?
Mr. Chair, you have Eric Abo that wished to speak.
Okay, Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wonder how did the code enforcement officer become aware a couple of weeks after construction happened of this? Was it he or she responding to a complaint?
They were, I don't know if they were responding to a complaint. I got the case later on. I had to pull the citations that were issued to Mr. Todd and Susan Handy. So I don't know if they were out on a complaint. Maybe one of the other staff can answer.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Bo, it did come in by way of complaint through our inspections website.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a question on, it says the structure is encroaching slightly into that easement. How far into that easement is it encroaching?
So if you look back on your exhibits, let me pull it out.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Grab it. So I'm going to answer. So for the water easement, it's going to be a foot in. And then on your, it's going to be about 16 feet of encroachment.
And did I read correctly that the HOA said that that easement is no longer in use, or they don't plan to use that easement any longer?
So there is some letters from the gas company. I think you're referring to those. So there is some letters from the gas company, from the electrical company. They also got a letter from the water stating that easement wasn't being utilized.
Mr. Pava?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I may not have been able to hear you. Can you state for the record how far into the required setback does the structure extend? In other words, if the setback, I believe, is 25 feet, is it?
Sir.
So how far into that setback is, and what percentage of the structure is in the setback?
16 feet, sir. 16 feet. 16 feet. Yes, sir.
I've had a question related to what Mr. Pava said. So there's a 10-foot utility easement.
Yes, sir.
And we got letters saying that that easement was okay to encroach by the Comcast or one of the cable companies. They said, I saw the survey there, they said that the structure, it goes into 9 inches into their easement, and they said it was okay. But the bigger question is the 25-foot setback, and I think you answered the question to Mr. Pava that the building is into the setback like 16 feet. Is that it?
Yes,
so
sir.
It's not just a small amount, 9 inches, but it's a good amount, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Yes, sir.
You know, they make it sound like it's a very minor encroachment, but really in this 25-foot setback, it's like 16 feet. That is what I wasn't clear until you answered Mr. Pava's question. You know, those are all the questions I have from staff. Anybody else has questions from staff?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Eric. I can't
Thank
see
you,
Eric.
Mr.
Go
Chair.
ahead.
No, that's fine. I wonder, does county staff routinely communicate with ECIA? If I'm correct, the Handys went to their HOA, the El Dorado Community Improvement Association, or whatever ECIA stands for, and made sure that the structure would meet with their requirements, which are you got to stay away from the house and you can't cut down trees, I think. And if I read the record correctly, ECIA said, it's fine with us. Make sure you follow all the other applicable requirements. I did not see anything that specifically directed the homeowners to make sure you go to the county for a development permit and a building permit. When I read that, if I was a homeowner and I got a blessing from the HOA, I might just rock on. Now, it's ignorance of the county requirement, but they got approval from their homeowners association. I'm just wondering if county development review staff routinely communicate requirements with the HOAs, ECIA, and others to make sure that instead of writing a blanket statement saying, we're fine with it, just follow the law, that they kind of direct their members to what you guys need. And it just seemed to be an unfortunate situation that they thought they had approval and they put a slab down and they started putting a building up. I just wonder if you or some of the other development review staff can talk about how the county communicates with the homeowners associations to get their members in line. Thanks.
Sir, so I'm going to correct you on that. That is incorrect. They told the handies on that paperwork, if you go back and you look at all of the exhibits that I submitted, in there it does state that they were approving them for that structure, but they still needed to follow rules and regulations, which means permitting on there. I think, I'm trying to find it right now. I'm looking for it, and it does state there. Let me see, I think I have it right here. It's on Exhibit 8, and it does tell them that they do need to get approval. It says, the approval is granted subject to compliance with the protective covenants and all rules and regulations of the governing and state county agencies. And that is going to be on Exhibit 8.
Right, yeah, the highlighted portion, I see that. Yeah, it's a relative, yeah, it's kind of like, make sure you follow the law, is the way I read it. But yes, it does mention the county. Thanks very much. Mm-hmm. But is there any communication, maybe John or somebody else, is there any communication? Because I think that kind of guidance is not really specific enough to say, by the way, go to, because ECIA presumably does this routinely. They do the first pass, and it might be helpful to residents if they were kind of directed, instead of just say, go to the county, if they were directed to you guys. So just kind of a comment, not really a question necessarily.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, about there is no formal meeting or communication between the two parties or between the county and the ECIA. That is definitely something staff needs to be concerned about and look into and address as well.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Eric.
it.
Thank you, John. Any other questions of staff? If not, is the applicant here? Please step forward and be sworn in.
Yes. Todd Handy, 3 Conscious Court.
Susan Handy, 3 Conscious Court.
Thank you, Mr. Handy. You may state your case if you want, if you wish.
No, I was listening. He asked a question, how much of the building is into it? Building is square north. The easement is diagonal. It is a sectional component of the building. In other words, if this is the building, can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. He asked a question about how much of the building. It is basically the northwest corner section. How much? I didn't have a ruler when we did this. One thing to point out, you brought up a good point, gentlemen, off screen regarding ECIA. They did not tell us about this. Secondly, we've gone through everybody that would have any concerns about the intrusion. ECIA covers our full east side of our lot. They have the northwest section of our lot. We've got neighbors that aren't part of ECIA down the hill from our house. And to the west, we've got other units on our cul-de-sac. We've gotten letters from everybody from 1 and 4 and 5 having no problem with it. Our neighbors. Then we've gotten a letter from Comcast, we've gotten a letter from PNM, we've gotten a letter from the gas. In fact, we signed over rights to us in that regard. So all the utilities involved.
And the civil engineer.
And all the other ones. One of the things that staff came up with, one of the 19 meetings we've had with them, was they wanted now a study of the impact of if the building stands, does it interfere with downflow of water for runoff? We got a civil engineer to look at that as well.
The surveyor.
Lots of people looked at it. How's that? Secondly, in regards to what's going on there, we could not put it on the south side. Our septic system and a very long stretch of the leach fields there. The front, like they said earlier, is shorter. In fact, by definition, our whole cul-de-sac and that whole part of the community are in violation of any easement because they preceded the changes you made. So everybody that would be affected have agreed that it's okay where it is. Dates are a little off. We started in March. The ticket came in May or June. So, but we had gone several months with negotiating with EC. I get it. We also have access to the utilities on the north side of the house. So it had to be farther away. The gas company, the electric company, the phone company all have their meters and access points there as well. Couldn't put it on the east side. We've got a 4,000 square foot. It goes into the community and it's an impact to the community view. If you read what they impact, what they require is protection and hidden and ambiance to the nature of the community. Where we've placed it is where all the rest of our surviving trees after the beetle killed a lot of our stuff. We've also had plans to enhance the growing around it as well. If you look at one of the pictures, and I don't have the number in front of it, we had another site placement of utilities, blue flag. And you'll see a red line in front of the bottom easement of the concrete, and it's about 4 feet or so away. We have to grant easement on that part of utility as well.
We couldn't build it closer to our home because it would have been on that, like that utility. It had to be placed.
Thank you. Do we have any questions of the applicant? Mr. Pava?
For the record, and again, maybe I didn't hear it, what is the shed going to be used for?
Storage.
Storage.
There's no water, there's no gas, there's no sewage. No, it's going to have power feeding, a fan, and lights.
And if I might interject, there's a second shed on the property, correct? Is that shed a replacement or an addition?
Which shed? There's a small shed on picture. We're replacing a 96 square foot shed with the 400 square foot shed. There's a small shed, depending on which picture you look at, there's a small shed on there that is 8.5 by 12 feet.
Okay.
And we're replacing that.
Okay. And to reiterate from what I read in the staff report and supporting documentation, the reason that the shed is placed where it is, you located it because you were checking out the location of utility easements, whether they're actual or reserved, location of certain mature trees.
Yes.
And there is a septic field, even though your lot is large, there's a septic field?
The septic system's on the south side. This is on the north side. But however, we have a well right, and there is a contingent that it's possibly that the well is dormant underneath anything closer to the house, because there is our water system that we fill. We have a piping system, and it is almost unending. So there's almost like a natural cistern left over from a well that was shut down, we think.
And at the time that you were made aware of the code violation, meaning that you had not applied for a permit, you have since complied with all of the county's requests for, and cooperated with the county's requests for documentation and that sort of thing.
Every meeting they come up with something new they needed, we took care of what they said they needed. And this has been going on, we've met, this is 10 months now.
I have no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pava. I've got a couple of questions. Carl, go ahead.
Mr. and Mrs. Handy, so as you mentioned, this is uses for a shed, and you mentioned that you had taken electrical power to it?
Not yet. It's in the plans. There's no power to it yet. They shut us down before we got, because we have to finish the stucco work, the flooring, and everything else first.
Right, there's a slab and walls on the side and a roof, that's it. There's no doors, no windows, it's been wooded in, you know, so the weather doesn't get it, but there's.
Oh, so it's unfinished because
It is
you got
unfinished
red
'cause
tagged?
Yeah, we ceased and desist once he came and said he gave us the cigarette.
Okay, and
If all-
Mr. Handy, did you know you needed to get a building permit
No,
for
we
this?
did not.
Did
Either
not.
in fact, the committee, the chair of the architects committee says, it's a shed, don't need a permit.
So, Mr. and Mrs. Handy, presumably I mentioned, somebody said earlier that you had a contractor that would be harmed here as well, or I think I read here that you put a lot of expense in, but I think a contractor would have known that you would have needed a permit, wouldn't they have?
They didn't say anything to us.
Not a word.
I don't know.
And like I said, he may have the same approach because he works out there all the time, that it's a shed and it was not perceived as necessary. I mean, that's the perception. The gentleman on the screen brought that up, that the community, if you drive out there, is very unique. There's all kinds of constructions and things going on, whether they are legal or not. I'm not going to comment on it. But there's all kinds of things being built all the time, and it may be that his approach there is probably needs to be the way to go, is that nobody knows. There's 776 lots out there.
You know, I do believe that if the contractor would have known, I mean, I'm surprised he didn't suggest to you. That's all I'm saying, is that a contractor would.
I don't know, and I don't know why he wouldn't tell us if he did know.
Because even moving forward, beyond this permit, you would have to go to the state, and because it'd be electrical power, so there has to be
Yes,
inspection, not
we
only for
understand
general
that.
inspection and.
Staff has explained that in great detail. And we know we needed a licensed electrician.
Now we know, yeah.
Now, was the contractor licensed, the one doing the work for you?
He hasn't presented one. I don't know if he is or not, to be fair.
Don't know either.
He's been around, 20 years, doing work for everybody. I mean, we got it by word of mouth for other things from other people.
Yes,
No further
Rhea.
questions.
Oh, Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also had some questions about this structure that you're being used, and it's being called a shed. I'm looking at a submission form that was submitted to the ECIA, and it says that that it's going to have sheet roofing on it, which you had submitted. And then looking at the final contractor plans for the permit, this is a very sophisticated shed. It
Not
has.
really. We had to draw everything on all contingencies to make the staff, is basically right now.
Well, can I ask my question, please?
Yeah.
So my question is, the conceptual plans for the permit state that you're going to have a TPO roof, which I know is very expensive because I just had one put on my home. But yet this other submission form that was submitted to the ECIA says that it's sheet roofing, which seems like a much simpler type of roofing. So how did this progress from,
I'm trying to think.
a
Can
shed?
you give me a project number, 15-3 exhibit?
This is the final for permit on August 15, 2023, A1, and it's the accessory structure for Susan and Todd Handy, and that's located Exhibit 2 of the application.
Well, that might be in reference to our prior shed?
That
Is
may be
that?
the tool shed that we built earlier. That was a replacement.
Oh, okay.
This property is built in the 70s, and so we're having to replace things. There's a shed approximately, how many feet
Because it
away.
says here that it described the project. So it says replace existing shed, 8 by 12,
Yes.
And then it says it's a wood panel structure with sheet roofing. So what you submitted here is different from this, these elevation drawings that have electrical notes on them, you know, have the roof
Well, that
slope,
was
the foundation plan.
The drawing was created after the ticket.
So this is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, this was drawn after the ticket. After we stopped building, this was drawn because they wanted the plan.
Okay.
We took it as we've replaced several sheds.
So the
Over
county
time.
was requiring that you have a more sophisticated structure compared to what
I
you...
wouldn't put it that way, but the draftsman put everything in there possibly, said, all it's gonna be is have outlets. There's no air conditioning, no cooling, no water, no plumbing whatsoever. Basically, if we have air conditioning, it's gonna be a fan in the ceiling, so it's a library almost. It's got books, it's gonna have toys, it's gonna have life. What has happened is the three of us have to work at home from our jobs, and we don't have room. Our daughter moved back in. So all we're doing is making an on-site storage shed. And then play with the puzzles or something, maybe have a table or two in there. But it's not complicated. Shouldn't be.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So,
Wendy?
So
Yes.
thank you. You're replacing, is it the same footprint? It's a little bit larger because.
Quite a bit larger, yeah.
So the previous structure did not, complied with the setback requirements, correct?
No, it was smaller. It's so much smaller. It's an 8 by.
Right, that's why.
And it's not permanent. It's a plastic one. We got it from Lowe's.
Okay.
You build it, you put it on brick, and it sits there. It's portable, quite
Okay.
portable.
Okay,
So it's a difference. The structure mechanism is different.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. I've got a couple of questions. Who drew up the plans for you?
Which one? The one we presented to ECIA, that was a hand drawn by us. The final plan was our draftsman, James.
James Gillette.
Okay, yes, okay. Now, he's an architect, right? Or he's a
He's a draftsman.
licensed person to draw
Yes.
plans?
Yes.
Did he inform you might need a
Yes.
permit?
Not his word of permit didn't come up. It came up after the ticket. So he said, it's obvious we knew we needed a permit because that's what was on the ticket.
Yes.
He did not have any impact prior to receiving the ticket.
And how did you go about hiring a contractor?
Somebody that's done some work for us before, and the neighbors have used him. We first started. It's an old house, so we've had to put a beam on the front porch, replace it. He built the fence in the back. We got a network of people that next door is one of them, where we ask who does fences, who does roofs, who does this, and we've had him. Karen had it. We had a friend that we've known for about 20 years, and she used him for doing some work at her house. So it's word of mouth.
And that was probably work that was like for a handyman or something, didn't require a licensed contractor or anything. But
Like the chairman of the committee said, it's a shed. You know, none of the other stuff before that were structurally impounding anything. I mean, building a fence, building a tool shed, things like that has been the prior practice. So didn't think that the permit would be needed for a storage shed.
well, I looked at the partially built structure, and it looks like it's pretty substantial. I mean, you have footings on it, you have walls on it. It's a very solidly built building. I mean, it's not just a shed. It's a regular building. That's what I looked at.
That wasn't our intent, but yeah, he did a good job so far, yes.
You know,
It's more than when you use the word shed, you're correct. I would agree with your observation.
you know, and I think a contractor, any contractor that would have a license would know that they have to get permits. I mean, to protect themselves. You know, that's the interest. That's one of the things that the contractor has to do, is get a permit so that everything goes according to the plans that he's building, in case there's a problem with the owner or something, or with somebody else. So that's what I'm concerned about. The biggest concern that I have is that you did it without a permit. There's no permit. You didn't show that there was a hazard or something, or some problem with that site or something, that there were no other buildable sites on your property. And I think staff says, this is a self-imposed, problem that you did because you didn't get a permit. Staff says, if you would have gotten a permit or gone to talk to staff, they could have reviewed it and maybe they could have given you some better advice. But the problem is there's no permit, and the setback, there's a 25-foot setback, and all of a sudden you're within, encroaching like 16 feet into the setback. That's the biggest concerns that I have. It's not that your building is not going to affect anybody. I think it's a problem that you didn't go with the SLD code, the code requirements for the county. That's important. And this seems to be, if we approve something like this, this seems to set a precedent for anybody else that builds within setbacks and stuff. That's the biggest problems I have. So if not, that's my spiel on this problem here. Do we have any other questions? Jeremy?
Yes, initially you said that the shed was going to be used for storage, and then you mentioned later on it was going to be used as a work from home kind of office.
No.
Am I confused about that?
Because we're working from home, we've been forced to take stuff out of the house.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Her sewing room is now her work. She works for the hospital.
Okay.
And daughter's taken over our living room and dining room for her work. She's a property manager.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any more questions from the applicant? If not, this is a public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this case, please step forward and get sworn in. Do we have anybody in the audience? John, anybody online?
Mr. Chair, there is no one online to speak on this case.
Okay, then I will close the public hearing. So we have it, bring it back to the committee. Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Handy, this is always difficult for us because we realize that you guys go through a lot of cost to get to this point, and it's a lot of hardship to tear it down. And I know that it's unfortunate. It's tough. It's a tough situation even for us up here because we know you've put all this money into this structure. It's difficult specifically because somebody didn't. I could see how two folk that haven't built homes or structures might not know all the rules or the laws, but the people that you get to help you should be able to advise you down that direction. And even stating from the El Dorado HOA where they say, make sure and follow all governmental type regulations and state regulations. They put that there to cover themselves, to make sure that they know that you, as adults, you look at that and you say, geez, I better check with the local county and state organizations. But I guess just my comment is it's very difficult. It's a difficult decision because I realize you guys put a lot of effort, a lot of money into this, into the structure and stuff. Thank you.
Wendy?
Yeah, and I also think that, that it's, the advice that they may have gotten was because it looks like they're replacing an existing structure on that piece of property, that, so sort of the existing footprint. So I understand that maybe it wasn't as clear as to maybe a permit may or may not be needed because it's kind of a replacement of an existing structure. And, I have a lot of experience with permitting, and I had, a lot of people had this, would come up and say, I didn't know that. I didn't know the law. No one told me. And that happens a lot. Is that an excuse, that you don't know the law when you're trying to do that, or the people that you hire didn't tell you that you need a permit? But I certainly understand that those situations occur. And it may not be, intentional. It's just, it happens. Stuff happens, and sometimes that happens.
Thank you, Wendy. The comments I have is that, Ria, did you have a question? Yes.
Oh, I just have also a comment, just to remind the commissioners, if you look at our consent agenda, and these are past cases that had come before this commission, and one of them, It's on the agenda listed as item B. It's case number 235480. And Mr. Flores at the time was requesting a variance under a similar situation to allow a residence in a garage to encroach on the required 50-foot setback. And, you know, it states here on the consent order that this commission denied that variance request unanimously. And I just want to say, I believe, I would have to go back on the record, but I believe that I voted in favor of that request. But, you know, we talked about, you know, setting precedents, and, you know, here's an example of a similar situation, and this applicant was denied the variance because of an encroachment issue similar to yours. So I just wanted to bring that up for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Ria. The comments that I have is that, you know, the hearing officer heard the testimony on this case. They did a very good job. They also recommended denial. The staff also reviewed everything, and they recommended denial. You did not meet the requirements, you know, to apply for a variance. That was one of the big things about it. You know, there are certain requirements that you have to meet for variances, and according to the hearing officer and the staff, this case did not meet those requirements for the variances. So anyway, with that, I will ask the commission for a motion to either, on this case, 235200, is there a motion or approval or denial?
Mr. Chair, I'll move
Yes.
that we deny the request for a variance.
Okay, there's a motion to deny the variance.
I'll second.
You second, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motions? Yes, Mr. Papa?
Yes. It seems that this will go toward a denial, but for the record, I'm going to put this forward as a contrarian in this case, and somebody who has reviewed a lot of variances over my career. And with all due respect to staff and the hearing officer and maybe some of my fellow commissioners, I would say that this could be justified as that it's not contrary to the public interest, as evidenced by the facts that there was no opposition from neighbors, there was approval of the homeowners association, there were no issues with utilities as documented in the record, and no adverse comments from city staff outside of building and planning that I could see. Secondly, as far as extraordinary and exceptional situations and conditions regarding strict application of the code, and that's what we're talking about here, would result in peculiar or exceptional practical difficulties and undue hardship. I agree with my fellow commissioners. This is a classic, could be considered a self-imposed hardship. But I think that there's a whole spectrum of so-called self-imposed hardships, folks. In this case, these folks, is it really? Yeah, as documented and they've admitted, they didn't get a permit for various reasons, but not necessarily as an intentional act to violate. I don't think they got up that morning and said, we're going to go violate the code, but things happen. I think the applicants, in fact, have demonstrated a willingness to proceed with the county for the past several months. And finally, as far as the spirit, whatever that means, the ghost, the spirit of the Land Development Code is observed, and substantial justice, I think you can make a case that substantial justice could be served by considering approving this variance because, in fact, based on what I've said for findings number 1 and 2 for conditions of approval, because there has been compliance and cooperation of the applicants. This would result in substantial justice, as was, in fact, the recent case of the height variance, case 235180, approved unanimously by this planning commission. And I'm just putting that in the record. I know which way I'm going to vote on this.
Thank you, Mr. Pava. John, is Mr. Abo still online? Okay. Now we have the discussion is over. Now it's time for a vote. All those in favor of the motion? Yes?
Mr. Chair, if you could do a roll call vote for the commission member that's online.
Okay, a roll call. Debbie? I move to deny.
Mr. Obo, how do you vote?
No,
Was that to deny or to go with?
no on the motion to deny.
Ms. Perard? No on the motion. Mr. Mayor?
No on the motion.
The motion is to deny.
Oh, yeah, yes, I move to deny.
Okay. Mr. Pava?
No. Yes, I would vote for approval.
That's against the motion. Ms. Serna?
Move to deny.
And Mr. Trujillo? Mr. Trujillo?
Vote in favor of the variance.
So you're, okay.
Debbie, what is the outcome of the vote?
Looks like it is.
Got denied.
Mr. Chair, if you could please restate everyone's vote to get clarification.
Chair, you're voting to deny the application, right?
Yes, I voted to deny.
Mr. Obo, are you voting to deny or?
I vote to approve the variance request.
It is very.
Yeah, that's what it, yeah, that's where it got confusing.
So this is, you voted to deny the variance, Eric voting to approve the variance, correct? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no motion, so it's.
If we can just make it clear, if we can be clear that the motion was to deny,
Yes.
and we simply want to know if everyone's vote is for or against the motion.
Ms. Berard? Okay. Mr. Mayor,
I vote no.
for the motion or against
I'm
the
for
motion?
the motion.
Yes. Mr. Pava?
Against the motion.
Okay. And Ms. Serna?
I'm for the motion.
And Mr. Trujillo?
No.
For the motion or against the motion?
Yeah, no against, for the motion.
So you're voting to deny it?
No, I'm voting in favor for, as I stated once before, I'm voting for approval of the variance. So the vote should be yes or no, and so I voted no. And so, yeah, so it's 4-3 and it dies. And so now maybe Mr. Pava has to make a motion.
This has greatly enhanced my understanding of the procedures. I don't know what I was doing here the last 2 months. Plus, my hearing aid went off. I have to get that fixed. Sorry, folks. Oh, thank you. Mr. Chair, may I make a motion?
Yes.
Yes. In the matter of case 23-5200, Todd and Susan Handy variances, I would motion to recommend approval. I would motion to approve the variance based on the Sustainable Land Development Code, Section 4.9.7.4 variances, as the variance can meet the three tests contained in this section. Is that adequate?
Thank you. You have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, for clarification, does that include the condition? Mr. Pava?
Does that include the
Commissioner Member Pava?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Does that include staff conditions?
Oh, yes, definitely includes staff conditions, absolutely.
I'll still second.
We have a motion and a second. Debbie, can you have a roll call vote?
Chair Gonzalez?
I vote no.
Mr. Obo? Mr. Obo, how do you vote?
I vote in agreement with the motion to approve.
Ms. Perard? Yes. Mr. Mayor?
I vote no.
Pava?
I vote to approve the motion.
Cerna?
No.
And Mr. Trujillo?
Yes.
Motion carries. 4-3.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Handy. Your motion is approved. Your variance is approved. Yes.
Thank you.
Guys, nice discussion. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Staff. You will get hold of us.
I just,
John, do we have any petitions on the floor? Yes.
The next time we have, like if we have a lot of cases, having those earpieces really helps. Like he's having a problem, and the acoustics in here is really tough. So if there's like more than a couple of cases, I think we really need those to hear, because it's so hard.
John?
Mr. Chair, there
Petitions from
appears to be
the-
no petitions from the floor.
Okay. Anybody online? Anybody? No?
Mr. Chair, nobody online.
Communications from the commission members, Ria?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I wanted to let you know and to let county staff know that effective now, that this is my last commission meeting. I accepted a full-time job with the State of New Mexico's Legislative Finance Committee, and I just wanted to let my fellow commissioners and county staff know that it's been an honor and a pleasure. And I'm also, of course, particularly thankful to Commissioner Hughes for selecting me to represent District 5 over the past, I believe, 2.5 years. So thank you, and hopefully we cross paths moving forward. Thank you.
Well,
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ria, for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you. We had communications from the attorney.
Nothing other than to second the appreciation stated for Commissioner Cerna's service as a member of this body. It's been a pleasure. Good luck.
Thank you. Do we have any communications from land use staff, John?
Mr. Chair, I would like to ditto Mr. Presino's recommendation and thank you for Ms. Cerna.
Okay, our next regular meeting is, I don't have it here. When is it?
Mr. Chair, the next regular meeting would be April 18th, 2024.
April.
There was a typo in staff.
Okay, thank you. And I guess we have can we adjourn the meeting now? Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
So move. Thank you.
Thank you.